evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Holcomb from the 11 Alive Weather Impact Team. We are getting more and more confidence and more concern about what we're seeing as we head into the weekend. We've been telling you about this potential winter weather, potential winter storm that is setting up. The models have been very consistent in still holding on to this very high possibility. Now, a lot of times in Metro Atlanta or in Georgia, we're on the line of maybe something's going to happen or maybe it isn't. But this is one system that has really kept strong signals for the past few days, and we keep hoping that the models would back off on it, which often they do. But in this case, that isn't happening so far. So we have issued an 11 Alive Weather Impact Alert for the potential for a winter storm coming here. And the main impacts would begin on Saturday into Sunday. And even though the precip would end into next week, we may still have the impacts from this system because it may take a while for those to go away. So we're doing these extended weather updates here on 11 Alive Plus. We know you are hungry for weather information, and we have this ability to do these extended updates here, streaming for free on 11 Alive Plus. So tell your friends that we're doing this. Tell them to download our app on their television, the 11 Alive Plus app, and they'll be able to see these as well. So here's what we're watching with the weather impact alert for Saturday and Sunday. We're going to be watching a transition on Saturday going from rain to freezing rain, maybe even some sleet and snow within that as well. We're really going to be breaking down the precip types that we're expecting, but all indications right now that this is going to be more of an ice event or freezing rain event than it will be a sleet or a snow event. And the ice event is the worst thing that we could get. That would lead to power outages, that would lead to trees coming down, heavy weight on those trees and power lines would have a lot of issues there. And we're expecting travel to really be dangerous as well. So a lot to watch here. I hope we'll see some changes over the next couple of days that would decrease the impacts that we're seeing, but so far we're just not seeing that happen yet. So here's the timeline based on what we're seeing right now from our modeling. Now please know what I'm telling you here tonight, this is Tuesday night. This isn't going to happen until Saturday into Sunday. So a lot can happen between now and then as this system is getting set up, as we watch the cold air that's going to be moving into our area, as well as the moisture that's going to be pushing excuse me, into that shallow layer of cold air. So based on what we see right now, we're thinking on Saturday, we're going to see some rain around to start. Now, just know we're going to have rain also on Thursday and Friday, but temperatures are going to be into the 50s when that rain is here. On Saturday, though, cold air moves in. More of that rain is going to push up into that from the Gulf here, and that is going to change over from a cold rain to a winter mix just developing during the day. It's not going to be a magic thing that just happens immediately at noon. It's just going to be a process through the day as these temperatures cool down and the rain is going to be over us that we'll see that winter mix developing here. So we want you to be aware that any untreated roads early on Saturday into around lunchtime or so could start turning slick into the afternoon. Now once we get into Saturday night, that's when conditions are really going to start getting a little bit worse based on what we're seeing right now. Accumulation will intensify, and again, that could be the accumulation of freezing rain, getting to an eighth of an inch, a quarter of an inch, a half of an inch of accumulation on those trees and power lines through into the day on Sunday there. Temperatures will be dropping into the 20s, and the roads are going to start turning more slick and more icy into those evening hours and late night hours overnight into Sunday. Then on Sunday, that's going to be our highest impact day as we're going to have the cold air in place. Temperatures on Sunday may struggle to get up to 33 degrees. So it'll be around freezing or below freezing for a big part of the day there. And the rain is going to keep feeding into that and falling into that shallow layer of cold air. So that means the winter weather is going to continue. The power outage threat is going to intensify, as well as the travel is going to get more dangerous out there too. I'm going to be transparent with you. There's still a lot we don't know about this storm, and that's what we're going to be fine-tuning for you over the next few days. But here's what we know so far and what we're beginning to feel more confident about, that a winter storm is getting more and more likely as more data is continuing to come in, as well as we're thinking that it's more confidence in that the travel is going to be dangerous at times through the weekend, as well as the power outage threat is growing with that ice threat that we have there. But here is what we don't know as the system moves in. And there are still a lot of questions. We still don't have every exact answer that we're looking for, but it is looking more of a freezing rain event versus more of a sleet and snow event. There may be some sleet and snow mixed in, but it just looks like it's going to be more of a freezing rain event. We also don't know exactly how much is to be expected. If we have 24 hours of freezing rain, that would be a lot of freezing rain and a thick layer of ice in spots. But it could be light rain or drizzle or mist, and so it wouldn't, build up as quickly as if it was some good rain coming in. Also, we don't know the final timeline. I gave you an estimate of a timeline just a few minutes ago about Saturday and into Sunday. That's based on what we're seeing right now, but of course that could change. Also, the extent of the impacts is unknown right now too, but this looks like it could be a very impactful winter storm that we're going to be having. So here is the setup. We're going to have some Arctic cold air that's going to be diving down into our area. We're already going to have some rain in place, but more of that moisture is going to start feeding into that. You see this moisture out to the west and some of that coming from the Gulf, and even have some Pacific moisture that's going to be pushing our way. So it's going to be that clash between that Arctic air and the moisture moving in that is going to give us that potential for the freezing rain. The pink color that you see here, I'm going to break this down with the timeline. I know you don't see a time at the top of your screen. This is just the setup I want to show you. But this just goes to show we have a better chance for freezing rain here than snow, and that could linger into late into the weekend as well. So here's what I want you to do to prepare. Again, this isn't totally set in stone, but we're feeling more and more confident that some of this is going to be happening. So prepare for travel can be difficult to impossible at times with the icy conditions. Prepare for power outages. When we get large amounts of freezing rain or ice on trees and power lines or limbs, those trees get heavy, they weigh down onto those power lines, and we have power outages there. And that greatest threat for outages is going to be due to ice that we're dealing with. Prepare for closures through at least Monday morning. They may extend even more into Tuesday because we're not going to get hot really fast here. It's just going to slowly start getting above freezing, and it's going to take a while for everything to melt and for those roads to get cleared on out. So I doubt a lot of people will be having church services on Sunday based on what we see right now. And we need to watch for Monday morning travel as well, and possibly even into Tuesday too. I want to show you the impacts that we would get from ice. And I know if you heard about 1/10 of an inch of glaze, that it's not really that big of a deal, but here's what 1/10 of an inch could do. That would be a light glaze on roads and sidewalks. It would cause slick bridges, coated windshields, isolated power outages. Then let's say we get about 1/4 of an inch of ice on trees and power lines and on surfaces out there. That leads to more icy roads. More than just the bridges and overpasses would turn icy. Tree limbs would sag and break. Then there would be numerous power outages. Then, let's say we get 1/2 inch or more of ice. That would lead to dangerous travel on roads, widespread tree damage, and long-term power outages possible there. Some of the models are showing more than 1/2 inch of ice over that extended period, and that would be a very impactful winter storm that we will be dealing with, and a ice storm that we will be dealing with. Now, the good news is right now, we don't have anything major going on out there at this hour. Here's a closer look at radar, and you see nothing out there. We have mainly clear skies, not many clouds around at all, and dry weather is in our area, and nothing major is moving in either. We'll be watching that main area of moisture that's going to start coming in from the Gulf here. Now, we will have some showers on your Thursday and Friday, but that would be just rain, the liquid variety. Here's a live look. This is our tower cam. I know this is kind of dark. This is at Echo Park Speedway. We were watching the sunset a little bit earlier. That was nice with the mainly clear sky. Also looking over Truist Park here. There's the battery right here. Looking westward, mainly clear skies. Rome looking good. Not a lot of wind. Temperatures, chilly, but not crazy cold. And then here's a live look at our tower cam in DeKalb County there at Arizona Avenue, looking westward toward the city of Atlanta. Great visibility, great skyline that we're seeing right now. For today, we got up to 47. Not bad. Still below average. We should be around 54 for this time of year. It was a cold start in the 20s. It's not going to be that cold in the morning. It's going to be a little milder in the morning. Right now, we're at 36. We have 38 in Athens, 35 in Gainesville, and also into the Canton area. We'll be dropping down to just right about 28 degrees. We're thinking early tomorrow morning, so it will be a chilly start, but then warming very quickly here during the day, getting up into the 50s in the afternoon. There it goes. That just kind of changed a little bit. You'll see these bars kind of line up with these temperatures. There they go right there, a little delayed action there. Getting up to 54 in the afternoon, sunshine mixing in with a few clouds at times here during the day. So here's the forecast track of what we are watching. First, I want to focus on mainly dry weather here for the daytime hours tomorrow. We'll see a few more clouds that'll be mixing in with the sunshine at times, and those clouds will thicken up a little bit later. Now, in the evening hours on Wednesday, we can see a few showers that are going to try to push in. And then really on Thursday, we'll see scattered showers, rain chance on Thursday about 30 to 40%. And then through the day on Friday, still some scattered showers around too, with that rain chance at about 30%. Not a washout or anything, just a few clouds around, mixing in with a few of those showers here and there. It's into the weekend when things are going to be changing. Here is a model comparison for this weekend of what we're going to see. Now, if you were watching us earlier, we were showing you the American model, which showed the snow coming down closer to Atlanta, covering more of North Georgia, and then the rest of the area in pink, which would indicate the winter mix or the freezing rain. The European has been really consistent and not really showing a lot of snow here, but showing mainly a freezing rain event. And they're still very consistent with that too. The American model, though, with the latest update, shifted that snow more to the north and gave us more of an ice outlook here, which of course, that's what we don't want. So let's look at both of those models specifically. And here's the European model. This is Saturday at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll advance this on, and you can see by noon, some cold rain beginning to mix in, especially on the north side, with possibly some sleet and freezing rain, some snow possible at onset of precip there on Saturday, and then changing over to mainly a freezing rain. This is at 9 o'clock on Saturday. And look at this, the moisture sticks with us with additional freezing rain Sunday morning, also into Sunday afternoon. And you look at this and think, hey, it's about to end, right? Well, this is that wedge, that shallow layer of cool air at the surface that'll keep us pretty much at freezing or below for Sunday afternoon. And then as this wraps up late Sunday into early Monday, on the back edge of that, we might have some snow that comes down. And then Monday, the precip will be ending, where it's going to start drying out, but it's still going to be really cold on Monday. So whatever we have, whatever icing conditions we have, it's going to be really slow to melt. And even into Tuesday, temperatures may get up above freezing briefly on Tuesday, and then back down into the 20s going into Wednesday morning. And then this is showing yet another system potential coming in. Actually, this is the GFS model here. This shows on Saturday where we're going to have, again, the GFS showing mainly icing conditions, freezing rain or sleet, the snow staying up to the north here. And then that sticks with us Saturday night, also into Sunday with that additional moisture coming in. And also this shows on the backside as it ends on Sunday night and early on Monday, maybe some snow on top of the ice coming down, and then more dry weather into next week. However, it is still going to be cold, so any melting would be slow to happen. Lows tomorrow will be at 28, but then we'll see lows in the 40s here Thursday and Friday. Saturday 34, and then Sunday morning's low is going to be 26. And then those high temperatures, mild the next few days, and then getting cold this weekend as we're watching that moisture move in. So here is a look at your 7-day outlook. Wednesday, chilly in the morning, and then those temperatures getting up to around 54 in the afternoon, 53 on Thursday and Friday, still with those rain chances then. And then again, these those bars are going to kind of line up. There they are. Then 40 for a high on Saturday, but it's going to be falling during the day, down to 26 Sunday, a high just barely above freezing Sunday afternoon, 23 on Monday, with again barely above freezing Monday afternoon, down to 19 Tuesday, and then 37 for a high Tuesday. So again, Tuesday, only temperatures going up above freezing for a brief period of time. So we have a lot to watch with this, and we're getting increasingly more confident and increasingly more concerned about this system. So we just want you to be prepared. I'm going to do another update for you coming up at 9 o'clock tonight here on 11 Alive Plus, and then another one at 10. And then our newscast coming up tonight at 9, we'll be talking a lot about this as well. So thanks for watching this extended weather update here on 11 Alive Plus and Weather Impact 24/7. More to come in a little bit less than 45 minutes. Thanks for watching. And good evening, I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Holcomb from the 11 Alive Weather Impact Team. I'm joining you now here on streaming on 11 Alive Plus, but I'm also going to be talking to folks here on this camera to the side on Facebook Live. And during this stream here on 11 Alive Plus, I'm also going to be looking over here and answering some folks' questions that are coming in live here on Facebook Live. So we'll actually kind of be able to have a two-way conversation here of what we're watching as we head into the weekend. Now, we're doing these extended weather updates here on 11 Alive Plus because we know you want information about this weather, and we're here to share it with you, streaming on 11 Alive Plus and on Weather Impact 24/7, and also for you folks here on Facebook. Now, we do have an 11 Alive Weather Impact Alert in effect for Saturday and also on Sunday. We called this alert yesterday. It is very rare that we issue an alert 5 and 6 days in advance of a system. But we did this for multiple reasons. Number one, we've issued this alert because we are getting more and more confidence based on what we're seeing in the models. And the models have been very consistent in giving us at least some sort of winter weather for the weekend. We're still narrowing down if that's going to be freezing rain, or if that would be sleet, or a cold rain, or if there would be any snow involved. Right now, most of the signals are pointing to a freezing rain event or an ice event. Freezing rain is not a good thing. We don't want that. Number one, it would make travel very tricky. Number two, it would cause power outages. Whenever you have ice thickening up on trees and power lines and they get weighed down, that causes a lot of power outages around. And of course, we're expecting some rough travel out there too. Let me read a couple of comments we have for you. Ice for North Canton Ball Ground, lots of hills up here. That's from Krista. Yes, I do think you would have some up there. Jeremy says, hey Chris, Roswell here, hoping for snow and not ice. The more data we get in, looks like less snow, but more ice, unfortunately. Christian says, any chance of snow in Forsyth County or just ice? I think your snow risk is on the lower end. This would mainly be ice for you as well. Ashley saying, what do you think about airport travel on Monday? I think it's going to be very tricky. This is going to be, I think a lot of hubs in the southeast are going to be impacted by this system and would have a lot of delays, maybe even some shutdowns at some of the airports. I'm not saying for sure that that's going to happen, but I want you to be aware of that. That's mainly for the weekend, but I do think we'll have some lingering impacts going into Monday and even Tuesday of next week too. So let's break down here what we are watching. Now, the timeline is really tricky because, again, here it is on Tuesday. We're talking about Saturday into Sunday. So I'm going to show you this timeline here based on what we are seeing out there right now. But just know this timeline may change. Don't come back to me on Saturday or Sunday and say, Chris, but on Tuesday you said this. I'm just sharing what we know right now, but just know that this can change. But we really feel like we need to share this far in advance because of what we're seeing is very concerning, and we want you to have as much time as you can to prepare. So here's what we're thinking is going to happen on Saturday. First, before we get to Saturday, we're thinking we're going to have some rain on Thursday and Friday, but temperatures are going to be in the 50s. It's going to be a few scattered showers off and on, temperatures in the 50s, nothing to worry about there. On Saturday, that's where we're going to see some changes that'll be moving in. I just saw that my Facebook Live froze up. I don't know why. Hold on, let me check on something really quick here on my Facebook Live here real quick. But here we go on Saturday. Wintry mix developing during the day. Untreated roads are going to turn slick. And then we will see that just be the progression during the day here on Saturday with those conditions deteriorating during the day. Then on Saturday night, we have accumulation growing or intensifying as we will see the conditions deteriorating even more Saturday night as we get colder. We're talking about temperatures dropping into the 20s. The roads will turn slick and icy out there. Travel is going to become more dangerous. And then going into Sunday, again, with mainly ice expected out there right now, we're going to see the winter weather continuing, power outages, and the threat will be growing for those outages as more and more ice accumulates on trees, branches, and on power lines, weighing that down. Trees falling onto power lines. We're going to see more of those power outages based on what we're seeing right now. And then also dangerous travel is going to be more likely here during the day on Sunday. For those of you on Facebook Live, for some reason I think it's glitching up a little bit, but just hang with me and hopefully it'll come back just like it did there just a moment ago. So, all right, so here's the next thing I want you to be aware of. I'm going to be totally transparent with you. We don't know everything there is to know about this storm yet. As I mentioned, today is Tuesday. We're talking about a storm on Saturday and Sunday. So I want to break down for you what we know and what we don't know. We are becoming more confident that a winter storm is more likely here. At first, we were seeing maybe this could be a cold rain. I'm still holding out hope. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we're all wrong on this and that this becomes just a cold rain. That would be the biggest gift that our city and our state has received, is if we're wrong and this is just a cold rain. However, that's just a really low chance that this could be just all cold rain. So we're becoming a little more convinced and confident, and this is going to be a winter storm becoming more likely. We'll also know that travel is going to be dangerous at times, beginning on Saturday into Sunday and most likely lingering into Sunday too. Now we don't know, well, we do have more confidence that the power outage threat is also growing too. But here's what we don't know with this system, and this is what we hope to be fine-tuning over the next few days as we get more model data in. We don't know if this is more freezing rain or more sleet and snow. We don't have a final answer on that, but we're leaning more toward this is going to be more of a freezing rain event versus a sleet and snow event. And we think by tomorrow we can move this over to this column once we get a little more confident in that, still over the next couple of days. Also, we don't know how much is expected, where we are going to be seeing those, ice amounts that'll be differing from place to place. Again, maybe a little bit of snow mixed in farther to the north, but we don't know any amounts on that right now either. We also don't know the final timeline. What I just showed you on the timeline earlier was based on what we know right now. But again, that's not the final answer either. We'll be fine-tuning that timeline for you. Also, the extent of the impacts. And I'm going to show you here in just a second the impacts of the different amounts of ice that we could see here with an ice event. So here's the setup. We're going to have some rain on Thursday and Friday. As I mentioned, temperatures in the 50s, no problem with that. It's on Saturday when we're going to see an Arctic blast, another one coming down into our area, going into and through the day Saturday and into Sunday as well. But what's going to happen is, as that Arctic cold is settling in on us, we're also going to be watching this moisture from the west moving in. We're going to have moisture from the Gulf feeding in. Even some Pacific moisture is going to start coming in from the west. That starts moving in, and then look at all the pink that is over us. I'm going to show you a different map here in a minute that'll have the timeline on it where we can break this down. This is just an overview I want to show you where this is favoring more of a freezing rain event with the snow more up to the north. And then still some of that into your Sunday. We'll watch on the back edge if any snow is going to mix into it. So this is how we want you to prepare. We want you to prepare that travel is going to be difficult or impossible for parts of the weekend. So we want you to get settled in this weekend early on Saturday and be prepared that you're going to be settled in for a while. Have everything ready for you, have a few days worth of food, have backups for power outages because we want you to prepare for those outages, and that would come with the higher threat for some ice around. I want you to make sure your phone is charged, as well as if you want to get some of those charging blocks, charge those up in advance so that if your phone dies, you could at least still plug into those charging blocks and charge your phone too. Have flashlights available in your house. I went and bought firewood for my son and daughter-in-law to make sure if their power goes out, they'll be okay. My daughter and her roommates don't have a fireplace, so I'm hoping they are going to be able to stay warm. So I'm just trying to think of anything that can happen. Have a can opener, a manual can opener. If you only have an electric can opener, get a manual one, that you clip on there and spin it, so that you can open up a can of soup and warm it up if you have that ability, like with a gas stove. My dad in 1973, the ice storm that we had here then, I was a youngster then, but I'm an Atlanta native, so I've lived through a lot of these storms and been through this with you here. But the one in 73, I remember my dad and my mom and my sisters all pretty much slept in the den for days with just a lot of blankets and hung out there. But my dad actually went out onto our gas grill outside and warmed up soup for us so we would have something to eat. So I hope that doesn't get to that here where we are. I also want you to prepare for closures through at least Monday morning, most likely into Tuesday too, because we're not just going to see all of this just disappear in one moment. It's going to take a while for whatever happens to move out. Now, this is what I want to show you on the differences of the ice accumulation. You would think 1/10 of an inch of ice wouldn't really be that much. It's pretty much a glaze. That if 1/10 of an inch would be a light glaze on roads and sidewalks, slick bridges, coated windshields, isolated power outages. Once we get to 1/4 of an inch of ice, the roads become a little more icy, tree limbs start to sag and break, and that gives us more numerous power outages. If you have an 1/2 inch of ice accumulating on tree limbs and on trees and power lines and exposed surfaces, that would lead to dangerous travel on the roads, widespread tree damage, and long-term power outages possible. And some of our models are showing ice amounts of higher than 1/2 inch. And that would cause major problems there if this all happens. So here's a look at the satellite and radar. Nothing's going on here right now. We're clear in Atlanta. Things are looking good. Nothing is moving into our direction yet. Again, except for some of that rain coming in here for Thursday and Friday. Here's a look at what we're watching downtown. Great conditions here. Noonan's looking good. We also have our tower cam in Rome that's looking good. It's just really a nice night out there. And tomorrow's going to be a day with a mixture of sun and clouds. Great view looking over the city of Atlanta out there right now too. Today, our high temperature got up to 48 degrees. That's below average. We should be around 54. Our low is 29. We're going to be in the 20s again here for tomorrow morning too, before we start to warm up a little bit more tomorrow. Right now, we're above freezing at 35. We are below freezing in Marietta. We're in the 20s already in Peachtree City. Gainesville right now is at 33 degrees. Now, here's what we're going to be watching tomorrow. A mixture of sunshine and clouds. Conditions are going to be looking pretty good. Not expecting any rain until maybe after sunset tomorrow. And again, that's going to be just rain. We don't expect anything frozen happening with that. So here's the forecast track. I want to get you through the next few days first, and then we'll go back to what the models are showing here for the weekend. So tonight we're fine. During the day tomorrow, you can see the timeline right here at the top. I don't know if y'all can see that on Facebook Live. I think you can barely see that for you folks on Facebook Live. But a few more clouds building in during the day on Wednesday, dry during the day. We'll watch this rain, if that holds together, coming in Wednesday night into Thursday. But again, that would be just rain. Then on Thursday and into Friday, we're going to see some scattered showers moving through here. Temperatures will be in the 50s, so no concerns about any winter weather here for Thursday and Friday. It's going to be on Saturday when we start seeing the changes that are going to be moving in with that setup that I was telling you about. Here's the model comparison. This is the European model, and this is the American model. The pink color that you see here on these models is generally freezing rain. The purple that you see up in Tennessee, far north Georgia and into North Carolina, that would be snow. Earlier, the American model was showing snow roughly north of Atlanta and into much of North Georgia with ice south of that. Now, that has pushed the snow north and is showing more ice on the north side. So I've been getting a lot of questions here where people were asking me about snow versus rain depending on where they are in North Georgia. Now, both models, the European and the American, are showing a better chance for ice even up into North Georgia. There may be some snow mixing in, but again, we're feeling more and more confident about an ice event. And then the European has been very consistent with this being more of an ice event here for beginning Saturday into Sunday. So let me show you these separately now. This is the European, which again will show you that timeline. On Saturday, this is at about 11:30 to noon, some rain beginning, maybe some snow at onset of precip in North Georgia for a bit, but then you see how that turns pink, and that is the freezing rain here through the day Saturday. This is at 9 o'clock on Saturday. Now, this shows that continuing into Sunday morning and for a big part of the day on Sunday. Now, this model is trying to mix in some rain if temperatures at the surface can get above freezing. But with the wedge here, we may not get above freezing on Sunday. Right now, we're going with a high of 33 on Sunday. So just being above freezing for 1 degree above freezing isn't going to be melting things really quick or anything. But so we'll watch that. But then as the sun sets, look how it changes to freezing rain again. And then this model is showing on the back side, as everything ends late Sunday night into Monday, maybe some snow mixing in before we start clearing out here during the day on Monday. The problem is on Monday, even though we don't expect any more precip to come down, it's possible that those temperatures may only be above freezing for a brief period of time. So whatever ice is out there is not going to melt immediately. So this would extend into Monday with the impacts, as well as most likely into Tuesday as well, with no additional rain coming in. This is the GFS model, the American model, showing the rain early with the mixing in North Georgia already on Saturday morning, and then changing over to freezing rain here through the day on Saturday into the evening and overnight. Going into Sunday morning, more freezing rain. Sunday afternoon, more freezing rain. And then later, Sunday night into early Monday, maybe some snow on the backside before it all moves out. And again, this model is showing dry conditions going into Monday as well, but still very cold out there. So no additional precip that we're thinking about into Monday, but again, the potential for some of those impacts to stick with us here. 28 Wednesday morning, and then look at this, 40s here Thursday and Friday, so not even below freezing. Then we get to near and below freezing here again for Saturday and also on Sunday. And then look at these temperatures in the 50s Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The high on Saturday is going to be early, and then it drops during the day. And then a high on Sunday, only 33, and that would be brief, getting up above freezing there for just a very brief period. So here's the 7-day outlook. You can see the warmer air with the rain Thursday, Friday. Weather impact alert Saturday and Sunday with that transition from cold rain to freezing rain, some snow mixing in, lingering into Sunday. It all ending overnight Sunday into Monday. Drier weather, but still really cold. Look at Tuesday morning, down to 19 with a high of only 37. So we need some warmer air to come on in here. For those of you on streaming, hang with me for just a second. For those of you on Facebook, okay, some of these questions here. So Kenesha just says, so is it snowing or not? LOL. I just explained this for 15 minutes. I'm sorry you missed it there. Great explanation. This is from Molly saying, oh, a great communicator. Thank you. I appreciate that. Sandra says, ice Monday, melt and then refreezing. So I don't think we'll have a lot of melting here on Monday, because if temperatures only get up to 33 for a brief period, we're not going to see a lot of melting. I think a lot of stuff is just going to stay frozen here. Let's see, Chris says, this sounds awful, really not stoked about this. John says, remember we took a picture together at the UGA Texas game? That was awesome. Thank you, John. I do remember that. That was a great game, too. Miranda says, thank you. Let me see some other questions that people have. How do freezing rain totals translate to the amount of accumulated ice? So the accumulated ice that we're showing is what we think is going to happen. It's not totally all the rain that we have. Usually with snow, there's a 10-to-1 ratio, whereas if you pick up a 1/10 of an inch of snow, that would equate to a 1/10 of an inch of rain would equate to an inch of snow, or 2/10 would mean 2 inches of snow. With ice, though, it's a little bit different in how we do that. So the totals that we're telling you about ice would be ice and not just rain there. Let's see here. Brenda says, thank you. Angie says, trying to fly home from Tampa Saturday at 2. How's it looking? That's going to be in that time frame when the transition may be taking place. And hopefully at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the airport is still going to be able to handle that okay. For you, again, this timing is tentative right now based on what we're seeing. And so I wouldn't, change a flight or anything right now based on what we know right now. Just know it may change. But I want you to keep an eye on it, because if you do want to get an earlier flight on Saturday, that might be better. But 2 o'clock may still be fine, and the airport may be able to handle what's going on there. Any possibility? Let's see. How about it? Will it be in Hall County? So I can't break down every single county. Just know that we were showing all of North Georgia and Metro Atlanta, and even areas down into Middle Georgia, all having the impact of ice. So just know that all of us have the chance for a significant icing here going on. Okay, so Katie says, will the higher temperatures on Friday help the situation at all? So yes. I went out this morning, I was doing some stuff in the yard, temperatures were in the 20s. My ground was really crunchy this morning and hard because it was frozen. The thing in our favor, though, as we have this set up, is that it's going to be cold in the morning, ground's going to be crunchy, but then we get up to 54. We don't get to freezing Thursday morning, then we get up to 53. We don't get to freezing Friday morning, and then we get up to 53 again. That is going to be a good thing. That, like, if this was happening and we were having temperatures each and every morning below freezing and then only highs in the 30s before this came in, then our ground would not have much warmth in it. But since we've got a couple of days here where we're going to be in the 50s and a couple of mornings where we're not going to be below freezing, that's going to help, because as this rain comes down, and I want to make sure you understand this too. When you hear us talking about freezing rain, there's sleet, and there is snow. Snow is easy. That is the snowflake that forms in the cloud, and it stays below freezing and it stays as a snowflake all the way down. The sleet happens when you have a snowflake that starts in the cloud, or an ice crystal. It comes down and becomes a drop of water because it hits some warmer air. And then it falls through a pocket of temperatures still up above that are below freezing, and that raindrop becomes a piece of ice, or an ice pellet. We call sleet ice pellets. And that is sleet. And sleet bounces on the ground, or bounces on your hood, or bounces on your windshield. Freezing rain is liquid in the air. It comes down as a raindrop. If it hits your windshield, it splats on your windshield, it splats on the ground. And then it becomes ice, though, if that surface is at or below freezing, and then it just builds, it freezes on the ground, or on an exposed surface, or on your windshield, or on a tree or a power line. And then as more of that rain hits it, that rain freezes on that ice, and that ice just keeps getting thicker and thicker. So the fact that these raindrops coming down onto a warmer ground will help delay maybe the buildup a little bit. So to answer your question, I know that's a long explanation there. That's the thing to think of. Hazel says, what do you recommend for someone who has no way to heat their house during this storm and has animals to care for? So that's the nightmare, and that is the reality for a lot of people. You've got to have a lot of blankets in your house. You hopefully have a well-insulated house. You don't want to be opening. I know with pets, you're going to have to open and close the doors, but make it brief. You want to hold in as much of that heat. If your power goes off and there's no heat inside your house, you're going to want to drip your faucets and keep your water active there. Like, let's say there's a bathroom or a part of your house where there's a sink or something and you don't ever really use it. Go in there and if your power goes off, let those faucets drip. Maybe even more than a drip, maybe like a pencil thin stream coming out of there, because you just want to keep that water moving. And also, when water freezes in a pipe, it expands. And if it has nowhere to escape and that water expands, then that's why your pipes break. But if you have an outlet for that water, let's say it freezes. So number one, the moving water should prevent it from freezing. But let's say it's not moving very quickly. At least there's an outlet as the water expands for the water to go. And even if the pipes might freeze, maybe they won't burst, because when they expand, hopefully it's expanding out where that water is dripping out. Does that make sense to you? So that's really the thing that I'm more concerned about, is the fact that a lot of people may be going without heat for a while. Okay, we just went over the timeline. It's going to be a process on Saturday for it to change over. Too early to be exact on that. When's the last time Atlanta saw something like this? So, I told you about the ice storm of 1973. We had another one in the early 80s. We had the blizzard in 93. We had all the snow jams and snowmageddons that happened here in the 2000s. This is the most significant. So we had a situation in Augusta, east of Atlanta, and over toward Augusta. I don't even remember which year it was. They all ran together. But we have had some. I might be losing my. I may be losing my microphone for you guys. I don't know if this is all going to run out now. But anyway, okay, for those of you on Facebook Live, the signal's going down. So anyway, this event may be one of those memorable events based on what we're seeing out there right now. So I'm going to go ahead and end this stream for you here on 11 Alive Plus and on Facebook Live. We've got another one coming up at 10 o'clock. For those of you streaming on 11 Alive Plus, I hope you liked the fact that we did this little simulcast where we were able to answer some questions as well. And I think you guys are watching on YouTube too, so thanks for that. I'm going to take it down for a second here. We're going to come back on for you tonight at 10 for another live update, as well as another update for you coming up tonight at 11. We're going to have numerous updates throughout the day tomorrow, also on Thursday, also on Friday, through the weekend too. So thanks for watching this extended weather update here on 11 Alive Plus and Weather Impact 24/7. Alive Weather Impact Team with more extended coverage here as we are talking about our 11 Alive Weather Impact Alert for the weekend and this impending winter storm that is most likely to occur here going into the weekend. We've done multiple extended weather updates here for you throughout the evening tonight. We're going to have more of these throughout the day tomorrow, more tomorrow night, and throughout the next few days here on streaming on 11 Alive Plus. This is your source to find weather information when you want to see it. So let's talk about why we're here, why we're doing these extended updates. We know you're hungry for information, and here on 11 Alive Plus, we are able to give you that information here and do these extended weather updates to explain what we are seeing, as well as the certainties and the uncertainties that we see going into the weekend. Just know it's Tuesday night. We're still 4 days out before a potential big winter weather event. So a lot can change over the next over the next few days. So just know what I'm telling you now is based on what we're seeing. Come back to us over the next few days as we're going to be fine-tuning this forecast so you can plan ahead for these potential impacts that are going to be coming your way. But here is that weather impact alert where it's going to be in effect Saturday and Sunday. That's for the main precip that is going to be causing the issues. Just know that on Monday and Tuesday, even though we're not going to see any more precipitation coming down, the impacts may extend into Monday and Tuesday as we are watching those temperature profiles, and whatever is going to be on the ground here for the weekend may take a while to go away. And what we're going to be watching is the impacts here for ice, snow, or rain. Right now, a cold rain is a lower threat. I think it's going to start as a cold rain and then transition to freezing rain. But right now, freezing rain and ice is the main threat that we're seeing right now and the main impact that we're going to be watching for. Snow is a lower threat. The temperature profiles won't really support that here. There could be some snow mixing in at onset of the precip and then as the precip moves out. But as of right now, we're looking like this is mainly going to be a freezing rain and an ice event, which is not a good thing to happen. So we want you to plan ahead for potential travel impacts and power impacts beginning on Saturday, persisting through Sunday, and then even after any freezing rain or snow moves out, those impacts may linger as well into Monday and on Tuesday. So this is the timeline that we have right now based on what we're seeing here from our modeling. We think that on Saturday, we're going to have some cold rain early. And then as more cold air continues moves in, and then it looks like it's going to settle in as mainly freezing rain going into Saturday night. So just know that Saturday, it's not like an exact time on Saturday when things are going to start getting worse. It's just going to be a slow transition with some rain changing over to freezing rain, maybe a little bit of sleet mixing in as well. Untreated roads could start turning slick. I really think it's going to be more Saturday night when those impacts are going to get a little more dangerous, and that's where we're going to see more of a freezing rain event where some of those ice totals could start accumulating a little bit more there Saturday night as temperatures drop into the 20s at the surface. And so the roads are going to be turning slick and also icy out there. Then on Sunday, we'll continue with these winter weather threats. Again, we're thinking mainly a freezing rain situation there on Sunday. And with that, as we see more and more of that ice accumulating potentially on exposed surfaces, on trees and power lines, that is when we are going to see the power outage threat grow a little bit more, as well as the travel getting more dangerous out there too. So we want to be transparent with you because we don't know everything about this storm. We just know what the models are indicating right now, and based on the consistency that we have been getting there in those models for run after run after run, these are the things we're feeling a little bit more confident about. A winter storm is looking more and more likely as we get more data in. You know, a lot of times when we have winter weather here in Metro Atlanta, North Georgia, or really in the state of Georgia, it's always, a lot of times it's like we're right on the line. This may happen, it may not happen. But with this situation, we're feeling pretty confident that we're going to have some sort of winter weather here going into the weekend, and the winter storm threat's looking more likely. It's also looking more likely that travel is going to be impacted and will be dangerous beginning Saturday into Sunday. And we also are seeing that the power outage threat is also growing with that ice threat that we have. But here's what we don't know. We don't know if it's going to be more freezing rain versus more sleet or snow. Now, we're leaning more toward more freezing rain, but still it's not a slam dunk. I think it would be less sleet and less snow, but more of a freezing rain event. So tomorrow, we may be able to move this over to the feeling more confident about ice here. But again, we'll wait till some more data comes in. We also don't know exact amounts of how much is expected, as well as a final timeline. I know I just showed you a timeline just a few minutes ago, but that is based on what we're seeing now, and that could change over the next few days. We also don't know the total extent of the impacts, and that all depends on how much ice that we could get. So here's the setup going into the weekend. We have this Arctic air that's going to be diving down into the southeast, while at the same time, moisture is going to be moving into that very cold air, and especially cold air at the surface. We look at the profiles of those temperatures, not just, outside in your backyard, but we look at those profiles up into the atmosphere as well. And that's why this is setting up as a cold rain. Freezing rain is rain in the air. Rain drops in the air. It comes down and hits a surface that is at or below freezing, and it freezes. That's freezing rain. It's not frozen in the air. It's liquid. Sleet is when you have a raindrop that goes through a pocket of cold air above the ground, and it freezes and becomes an ice pellet. Sleet bounces on the ground. Freezing rain just splats on the ground and then becomes ice. So those are the differences in those two. A lot of people get those confused. So that cold air is going to be in place. The rain's going to be moving into it. The pink color that you see here is ice or freezing rain, and that covers us up. And that's going to be with us here beginning Saturday and also into Sunday. So that moisture is going to be falling through a shallow layer of really cold air at the surface, and that would freeze on contact. So what we want you to prepare for travel issues. It could be difficult or even impossible with the icy conditions that we're expecting. Also, prepare for power outages. That is the biggest threat we have when we have an ice situation, because that ice weighs down trees and power lines. Those tree limbs and trees could fall down on power lines and cause power outages. So that's the big threat with ice. Prepare for closures too, at least through Monday morning, we think. Beginning on Saturday. Sunday, I think a lot of stuff is going to be just shut down. And then even into Monday morning, most likely, we're going to have some closures there as well. And it could linger into Tuesday too, even though the precip is going to be ending. Here's a look at some of the what you can expect with different types of ice accumulation. A tenth of an inch of ice would mainly be just a light glaze that could be on roads and sidewalks. It could be slick on bridges. It could coat your windshield, and it could cause some isolated power outages. But get a quarter of an inch of ice on trees, power lines. That's a little heavier there. It could also be icy on the roads. Tree limbs can sag and break, and numerous power outages could occur with a quarter of an inch. A half inch of ice or greater would cause more dangerous travel conditions, widespread tree damage, and long-term power outages possible. We're talking long-term, because there would be most likely a lot of trees down and a lot of power lines that have come down too. Some of our models are indicating even thicker than a half inch, and that would just make those conditions even worse out there. So here's what we're watching with our satellite and radar imagery. I'll put this up full screen so you can see here kind of what we're talking about, where nothing's going on out there right now. We don't have any clouds. We don't have any rain in North Georgia or here in Metro Atlanta. Nothing major moving our way right now. There could be a couple of showers tomorrow evening. I think the daytime hours tomorrow will be dry, but it's going to be warm enough in the 50s that's going to be rain. No concerns about winter weather over the next few days. Beautiful night here in Atlanta. Noonan is looking nice outside right now with mainly clear skies. Rome looking good. Little breeze, cool temperatures. We're down into the 30s right now, and our view looking over the city of Atlanta from Arizona Avenue is also looking nice. Today, we got up to 48 degrees. Not bad, right? But that's below the average. We should be around 54 this time of year. Our low this morning, that was cold, 29. We should be around 35, so a below average day. Tomorrow morning, it's also going to be cold out there in the 20s. Right now, we're just above freezing at 35, but it's in the 20s right now in Peachtree City at 27. Gainesville's freezing. Marietta below freezing at 30. Rome is 30. Athens, though, is at 35 degrees. Dalton, 25. So a wide range of temperatures with the clear skies. Tomorrow morning, we start at 28, and then we rise to 38 at 10, and then we get up into the 50s tomorrow afternoon. That's going to be warmer than we were out there today, with sunshine mixing in with more clouds, but mainly dry here during the daytime hours. Here's a look at the forecast track. You have just a few clouds that are going to start building in here during the day tomorrow, and then still nice conditions, a few clouds Wednesday afternoon. Wednesday night, we're watching this that might bring from the west a few spotty showers late Thursday overnight into late Wednesday overnight into Thursday. And then Thursday, we're going to have some spotty showers here and there during the day, about a 40% chance for some showers. And then going into Friday, the rain chance comes down a little bit. Still a few of those spotty showers, but about a 30% chance of that on Friday. The important thing is to know though is Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, temperatures will be in the 50s. So any rain that happens will be liquid. It's not going to be anything frozen. Now, going into Saturday, look at the model comparison. This model, especially the American model, has changed since around 5 or 6 o'clock tonight. Earlier, it was showing the snow, which is that more blue-purple color, extending down to north of Atlanta, showing most of North Georgia getting snow and the rest of us getting ice. It is now showing any snow up into Tennessee and North Carolina and upstate of South Carolina, and really most of our area getting ice. The European model has been pretty consistent all along, showing ice over all of North Georgia and Metro Atlanta, going down into Middle Georgia as well, down toward the Macon area too. So, you know, Macon, Middle Georgia, parts of South Georgia had some good snow on Sunday. Now they're dealing with another weekend, but this would be ice. And again, the ice is what is more dangerous when we're talking about winter weather coming in. Here's the European model. I'll show you these models separately and kind of walk you through. This is at 4 o'clock on Saturday morning, showing rain mixing in during the day. This is at lunchtime. Some freezing rain, snow in North Georgia, and then changing to mainly freezing rain during the day on Saturday. On Sunday, this model trying to bring some rain in instead of freezing rain, but that all depends on the temperature profiles at the surface. We're only going with a high of 33 in Atlanta on a Sunday, and so only being 1 degree above freezing for a short period of time is not going to be melting a lot. And again, this is the shallow layer of cool air coming in from the north and east. And then it shows more freezing rain on Sunday, changing over before it ends, possibly into some snow quickly before it moves out early on Monday. And then we dry out Monday, but the temperatures are still going to be really cold. So anything frozen is most likely going to stay frozen Monday. Maybe some slight melting, but it's not going to all go away. And then on Tuesday, still really cold too, just being above freezing for a very short period. This is the GFS model, also showing on Saturday, starting off as rain, changing over into possibly some freezing rain. Into the afternoon, more of that freezing rain. Saturday night into Sunday, more freezing rain. And then that snow potentially late Sunday night into early Monday on the back side before it all ends, possibly changing over to snow, and then just really cold air starting into next week too, with even though no additional precip coming down, still dealing with some of the lingering impacts. So here is what we're watching: 28 on Wednesday morning, but then warming to 54 in the afternoon, more 50s on Thursday and Friday with those showers coming in. Temperatures up to 40 on Saturday, but that's early. They'll be falling during the day with that rain changing over into mainly freezing rain. Sunday, mainly freezing rain based on what we're seeing now, high only up to 33. We're back to 23 Monday morning with a high of 34, back to 19 Tuesday morning with a high of 37. So if we have power outages this weekend that don't come back Monday and Tuesday, getting down to 19 degrees on Tuesday morning is not going to be a good thing for pipes that can freeze. So we have a lot to watch over the next few days and also into the weekend. We will continue to do extended weather updates here on 11 Alive Plus and Weather Impact 24/7. We have another update for you tonight at 11 on 11 Alive News. We're going to have updates throughout the day tomorrow on streaming, tomorrow evening, more and more updates during the day on Thursday and Friday, and of course into the weekend too. So thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tonight at 11. We hope you have a great night.